Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's the 17th of September, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented today by GameTime.co, your headquarters for all your ticket needs, whether it be a Miami Hurricane game like this Saturday's game at South Florida, where they have now opened up the upper deck to accommodate what they expect to be a growing crowd. So that's a good thing for those of you that need tickets. And also NFL games, NBA, NHL, any sporting event, any theater event, any concert. GameTime.co is your destination for any ticket need you could possibly have. And we'll talk more about Game Time later in the show. But Matt, it's time to talk Hurricane football now because we spent a lot of time doing it yesterday. We had a few opportunities to hear from Mario Cristobal, Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator. Extended sessions. They had a lot to say and gave us insight into what's going on inside the football headquarters. And the thing that I took away from all of it is that they are trying very hard not to pay attention to who they're playing, while the outside world focuses on how easy their schedule is. And listen, the point spread comes out for South Florida. We saw, what was it, 15?
It was 18 initially. I don't know if it's come down, but
yeah, 18, 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there is the point spread for the South Florida game on Saturday. And it's going to be like this for most of the year. I mean, the teams Miami is playing are not great teams. Louisville, we still don't really know yet. Florida State's turned out to be not real good. They're 0-3. Could be, you could fall into traps and stuff, but they are trying really hard, which is probably a good idea for the sake of not falling victim to overlooking an opponent. They're trying real hard to focus on the fact that they are setting a standard for what Miami is in 2024 and the quality of play that they expect to have. And they're just working on that standard and worrying about getting better each and every week and not really that worried about who they're playing. Now, of course, you play a South Florida team. They love to run the ball. They have a quarterback who's very mobile. They come after the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, there are things, Matt, that they're going to have to game plan this week. Don't get me wrong, but they seem to be intent on being more focused on the quality of their own play and living with the results of that.
Well, that's how it should be. You listen to Mario Cristobal talk in particular, the coordinators to a little bit lesser extent, but every team they play is the best team they've ever seen, and this and that, and how impossible it's going to be for them to win. They're an 18-point favorite. They'd be a 24-point favorite at home for a reason. I mean, USF, Miami's a very, very good team. Don't get me wrong. They might even be they are, in my opinion, a playoff team, possibly even a championship level team. We don't really know yet for sure because they haven't played anybody of any substance, which is okay. That's just a fact. I know fans hate it, and I'll go through some of the fans' great posts that I love reading in a minute here. But the fact of the matter is I only have cold takes. I don't have any hot takes because there was no new ground broken in these press conferences yesterday. They were coming off a win against a lousy team. There's not much to say about it. But Mario Cristobal did seem to indicate in a morning interview that Emory Williams would be the guy if worse comes to worse and something happened to Cam Ward, which I found interesting because I think I knew that. I think you knew that, but I don't think the world knew that. They brought in Reese Poffenbarger, and the idea was, they got this guy who can do everything now. He can run, he can pass, he's experienced. But no, Emory looked great, and he should be the guy if something, God forbid, happens. But aside from that, they talked about some younger guys stepping up on special teams. I did enjoy hearing Lance Guidry say how really if you have a good player or not by how they play on special teams. When young guys are making plays on special teams, it's an indication they're going to be a great player, like a really amazing player, just like Al Blades. These are all Al Blades players now. It's fantastic what they've got. So
you always come up with something.
Well, Al Blades wasn't great. You're making fun of Al Blades, Ferman? You're so rude. Anyway, I will read some of these posts because this honestly, it was a slow day yesterday. Okay, this was a slow day. There was not a lot for Matt Shodell to complain about, to harp on. None of the coaches made any obvious, glaring, silly things that they said that I can make fun of. So I'll go to some of the posters. This is LUN Fraser 8053. I don't know if the guy's name is Lou or Lewin, but whatever. It's absolutely brutal listening to Matt's negativity and weird sense of humor. There has to be a better option. There is Lewin, my friend. His name's Azubi Charles, and I don't know why Gary refuses to not replace me with him. G Benga AJISA FE 1036. Let's just make it a word. Gabenga Jisa Fe 1036. Matt has the worst camera face. It looks like a 1950s mob mugshot. How would you know what a mob mugshot looks like? How old are you? Okay, I don't know what a 1950s mob mugshot looks like. I would never even suggest that to anybody because nobody knows what that looks like. Is that are you complimenting me? I'm going to take it as a compliment. So thank you, Benga Jeffesafafe. And he also posted, and by the way, Asaha Burton, ISAHA Burton, BURTON, caught 6 balls for 109 yards. So I don't know what you are talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nobody on the team named Asaha Burton. I assume you mean Isaiah Horton, and he did not catch 6 balls for 109 yards. This is my favorite one. At Bass Worship 50, a fisherman like myself. Matt, pay attention or just shut up. You're wrong and you're aggravating. Is that like Alexa? Because that's what my wife says it all the time. I think that's like, is that like an Alexa AI thing where they just hear what my wife's saying and they post it on our chat? Is that possible? It could have happened. Robert Hullab, 1217. I continue to turn your show on, but when I see Matt bring his mouth and being negative all the time, I just turn it back off again. I'm sorry. And I see a lot of others feel the same way. Absolutely true. Then the worst post of the year is from Reemro, 8760. Matt has unlimited supporters regardless of what he says, just like Trump 2024, shaking my head. I'm not even going to go there. And then the last one, save the worst for last. G. Benga Jiz Safe, 1036. You morons. At least he put you with the letter U. Like he's a real Miami fan, at least, you know. You morons. It wasn't because they just wanted to throw. He's talking about how they ran 25 times, how they threw 25 times in the first 32 plays, which God forbid I said that yesterday without explaining that, yeah, they were stacking the box a little bit, like whatever. But, you don't let a defense dictate to you as an offense. You got to sort of keep them honest once in a while. And sometimes they line up. Sometimes they stack the box and then they back off of it. You just don't know. Anyway, you morons. It wasn't because they just wanted to throw. Ball State came out with shutting down the run as the game plan. They put 9 in the box. So he let Dawson burn them through the air. He didn't interfere. Reporters were literally talking to Mario about that at halftime. They backed off that in the second half. That's why the running game picked up. And yeah, look, there is some truth to that. As rude as he put it, you don't have to call Gary a moron. I feel bad he called Gary a moron. But at least he didn't talk to me about being a moron. Thank God it was. I assume it was you, Gary. He didn't address which one of us was the moron. He just said you, the letter U, moron, not morons. So I don't know which one of us that is.
All right, touching on a few of the things you said, the Emory Williams, Reese Poppenbarger thing. Listen, I give them credit because, they're paying Reese a lot of money to play this year. They went out and got him with the idea that he was going to compete for the starting job, and then they got Cam Ward, and they paid a lot of money for Cam Ward, but Reese is kind of just sitting there, taking up a lot of NIL, and I give him credit for having a legitimate, real competition and not letting politics enter the equation. Emory Williams is a better quarterback than Reese Poppenbarger. Early on, there might have been a little politics along the way in getting to this point, but now they are declaring that Emory's the number 2 quarterback, and I'm sure Reese is not very pleased. He could have gone anywhere any school that wanted him coming out of Albany, and he chose to come to Miami because he had the opportunity here. And you feel for him, but he's got another year. He's going to probably be able to go back in the portal and do it all over again, I'm guessing. But if you're going to catch your lot with one or the other, it's going to be Emory Williams, who's going to be here for 4 years. and really looks like he could be pretty good. I mean, you saw, I think he was 11 of 12 on Saturday. So, By
the way, we have to get out of this whole, he's going to be here for 4 years. He's going to be here for 5 years when they sign, when they have a good year. Like, it's a new era, man. And by the way, I don't understand why they're not revisiting, like, forget signing day. Let these guys sign in high school whenever they want all year round. And they have to enroll, obviously, within a certain period of time. But, like, just sign their NIL deal and sign. Like, I don't understand why nobody's talking about that anymore. Like, that should be the system, you know? And, like,
I happen to agree with you, but now you're taking this conversation all over the place. I'm talking about the backup quarterback situation, and you're off to signing days that shouldn't exist, and God knows what else. But listen, I thought it was a good thing. And as far as that's me projecting that Emory would be a 5-year college player. If he becomes significantly better than what he is right now, and he's ready to go to the NFL after year 4, I will be leading the cheers for him. But right now, I'm thinking Emory could be the starter at Miami for 3 years potentially, and I think that's what they should be targeting with Emory. And so I'm in favor. The bottom line is I like what's going on there. And as far as the special teams, like I get it. You want to crack jokes. You want to be funny. You want your fan club to get all uppity and start waving pom poms and all that.
Well, Lance could be said. Lance could be said that. He's not wrong.
You make a joke about Al Blades. Okay, I'm down. I like to laugh too. Ha 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 ha.
I like Al Blades. Al Blades was one of the hardest workers on the team. He was a great special teams player. But I'm just pointing out that not every single young player who's good on special teams is a great player. That was my point. Okay, I'm sorry, Al.
And it's a great point to add a little negative spin to what's being said. No argument.
Of course.
And I agree with you. Not every great freshman that's good on special teams becomes a good defensive player. No argument. But they were trying to send some nice little kudos out to Dylan Day and out Darius Hayes, who are making some nice plays on special teams. And that's all they were doing. Like, they weren't.
I know. That's not for me.
Cave, Matt. It wasn't directed at you. It was not directed at you.
Don't be nice to your players. You know what's funny? Mario hates praising his own players unless they're like players who just don't really have a role, or he feels like they're being left out, or he feels like they need a little bump in their ego. Like the really good players, he won't give the time of day to. You ask, hey, what do you think of Cam Ward? It's not, oh my God, he's amazing. He's the hardest worker. He works hard. It's not about his play. You notice that every time he's asked about Cam Ward, he never talks about his play. It's just how he wants to get better, how he works hard, because he wants to send a message to the rest of the team. If you do that, then you can play really well. He doesn't care about talking to the media about any details the media wants about great players. So when he starts talking about, hey, this guy, he's got elite speed, he's got elite this, he's got elite that, it means that guy's not playing much or not going to have a big role. Like, that's Mario talk. That's what makes me crazy. So that's why I get annoyed with some of this stuff.
All right, look at it from this viewpoint, though. You got a team that's pretty good. Okay, I think they haven't played. Even Florida. Florida's been diminished. Whatever, they haven't played anybody. But it's clear that they got a pretty good team this year. I think we could safely say that. Okay, Mario's number one challenge as the head coach is to maintain the culture of that locker room, and he's got to keep these guys. He's got to find ways to get everybody involved and keep these guys that came here in particular happy. And I asked,
who are you to make these good points all of a sudden? Who took over Gary Ferman's brain?
To me, that's his biggest job as head coach this year. Let's look at Damian Martinez, okay? And I know he was a little nicked up early and whatever, but I think he's healthy now, but he's not really getting to do very much. Do you think Damian Martinez, and I don't have the stat sheet from Saturday right in front of me,
three carries for 3 or 4 yards, something like that.
It was like, there was hardly anything, right? So my point is, that's not what he came here for. And I know he got paid and the whole thing, but he's here to freaking launch himself into the NFL draft in April with big performances like what Cam Ward's getting to do. And he's not getting to do it so far. And, that is a potential problem. I mean, Sam Brown, I think it was, I don't know if it was you yesterday that jumped on me for this, but like, to me, there was a concerted effort to get Sam Brown involved in the offense on Saturday. He had 8 targets, 5 catches. He's another one. He didn't come here to be a bit player, playing a little bit here and there, getting a ball here or there. He came here to put up big numbers to go to the National Football League. So you're facing this across the board. Tyler Barron, he's starting. He's good. Elijah Alston, he's getting to play enough where he's probably okay. Obviously Mish Powell's good, but the point is you got guys that came here to make an impact and show themselves off. And if they're not on the field, they're not getting to do that. And now you got a running back room where you got a guy that did that, but you got Mark Fletcher, who's back looking better than he even looked last year. You got an AJ Allen kid who's a total afterthought that was unbelievable the other day. I mean, I give that kid so much credit. I mean, he's playing the fourth quarter of a blowout game against Ball State like it was the last day of his life. I mean, I give him nothing but credit. You got a Chris Johnson who clearly can impact games. I mean, you saw what he could do when he got one touch the other day. He's not getting to do a whole heck of a lot. How about Elijah Alston? Elijah Lofton, who got to play and caught a touchdown pass and looked unbelievable, like we already know that he is. He's not really involved in the offense. So there's a lot going on here. And to me, Mario's big challenge for this season is making sure that he's policing the involvement of everybody, trying to keep everybody focused and headed in the same direction, and keep personal frustrations that may exist now or may evolve out of that locker room, and keep that from poisoning what is clearly a very good team that has a lot of potential to go very far this year. And so that's my thought on that. All right, so a couple of things that came out of Mario. Inez Cooper and Jalen Rivers will be back for the USF game. So that's a good thing. And they are putting a lot of focus into preparing for Byron Brown. He's a quarterback that can do a lot of things on offense. He set several school records in 2023. He threw for 3,292 yards, had 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, completed 64.6% of his passes. And he also led the team in rushing with 809 yards and 11 more touchdowns. Okay. Like, this guy's unbelievable. This guy is probably one of the better skill players in the country that nobody knows about. And I paid very little attention to Byron Brown last year while he was putting up these numbers for South Florida. Miami did not play South Florida. I mean, I've heard of them, but I did not pay much attention to him. But Matt, so Lance Guidry comes out and basically talks about how they're really focused on themselves and getting better. But this Byron Brown kid, he's got to be commanding a lot of attention on the defensive side of the ball this week.
I mean, he will, but if you look at last year, for instance, so last year, Byron Brown, threw the ball pretty darn well. He had over 3,000 passing yards and plenty of rushing yards. Like, he was a multiple weapon, a multiple threat. But this year, for whatever reason, he's really not throwing the ball the same. I think he's averaging 120, 130 passing yards a game, which is why you heard Lance Guidry say, we just have to stop the run. It's been a one-dimensional offense for South Florida. And South Florida's defense is really pretty bad. They played a no-name team last year and gave up last week, and they gave up 450 yards and 28 points or something. Miami is going to score a ton of points. And if USF can't pass the ball, it's going to be a blowout. There's a reason why this is an 18-point line, or whatever it is right now. It opened at 18 on the road. It's because the people that know this stuff, 18 is a huge line on the road, by the way, just so people know. That's a blowout. That's a blowout line, because, if you're not playing Bethune, if you're playing somebody who's actually not a Bethune or a lower-level team, that's a blowout line. So USF, while they have a quarterback who can run really well, he's a big guy, can break tackles, can run. They have a good running back also. I think they have 5 starting offensive linemen returning, or the 4, whatever it is. They're good enough up front. But against a team like Miami that out-talents you across the board, I mean, good luck. They are not going to score a ton of points. My prediction would be 45-20, 52-20, somewhere in that range. This is not a USF team that can stick anywhere near Miami. And I've already started doing advanced work on Virginia Tech because I'm so bored with USF. Virginia Tech, even though they lost that first game to Vanderbilt, that is a test. That is a good game. It would not surprise me if that betting line is somewhere around 7 to 10 points, even at home with Miami. That's not a bad team, man. They have Kyron Drones, who can run and pass better than Byram, okay? In my opinion, okay? They have better skill position players on offense. And they have a defense that's been doing okay, like not terrible. They have one of the best pass rushers in the country at Virginia Tech, all right? To me, the whole key to Miami's season is Cam Ward having all day to throw. Francis Mauigoa, who got ACC Offensive Lineman of the Week yesterday, he hasn't allowed a single quarterback pressure in 111 rushes against him. Not one quarterback pressure, not allowing a sack, not one quarterback pressure. Okay? You know how crazy that is? Because Cam Ward's standing back there all day. And I didn't look at the other 4 linemen. And of course, that's according to Pro Football Focus. I know fans hate that. But like that's how much time Cam Ward's had. When a team like Virginia Tech with great coaches and talent on the defensive line schemes up ways to narrow that window of time that Cam Ward has, we're going to find out a lot. So to me, that is going to be the first real test because I think Virginia Tech will be able to get some pressure on Cam. I think Cam Ward will have to show that he can protect the ball better than he has the last 4 years. He hasn't had to show it the first 3 games, obviously, which is fine. The line's been great. But I think that will tell us a lot. And then, obviously, the Cal game. Cal, by the way, is an underdog to Florida State, right? So, like, I don't know how good Cal is if they're an underdog to an 0-3 team that can't even tie its own shoelaces on offense. So, you know, that again, I think Virginia Tech's going to show us a lot. Cal, going on the road that far, I think will say something, and they're not a bad team. And then, obviously, you know, that Louisville game is the huge, huge game. Like, we could keep doing shows for the next 3 weeks, but, like, until they play Louisville, we're just going to be spinning our wheels, man. And
you just said Virginia Tech's not a bad team.
Not a bad team, but not a great team. They're a middle-of-the-road ACC team.
But I mean, South Florida and Virginia Tech and Cal are
they're okay. They're all okay. None of them are great.
They're all decent games.
They're all okay.
At least they have a pulse.
And I'll just, you know, my thought, I do not disagree at all with the long diatribe you had. You could look up the word diatribe that you had earlier. But what I will add is I know you think, and you said in a somewhat roundabout fashion, that they're just playing so many guys and they got to keep guys happy. And there's a little bit of politics in it in the sense that, you know, guys getting paid, right? Guys, you got to have a happy locker room, happy wife, happy life, happy locker room, happy, I don't know, whatever, fill in something that rhymes with locker room, Docker boom. And the problem that you're not understanding is when they play a real team, they better not use a heavy rotation of running backs. They better not use a heavy rotation in the secondary. Like, there's a reason there are starters. Because they won the job because they're the best player with the best understanding of that position, of that defense, of how they prepare for games, the experience they have, whatever it is. Now, obviously, you can't play guys every rep. You need backups to give those guys a break. But when Miami was winning championships, there were guys in the locker room at halftime getting IVs, okay? There were guys in the fourth quarter where they couldn't move their legs because they were cramping up. Like, you don't need to be playing worse players just so that doesn't happen in today's game. Like, I hope Miami's not going to its third string running back in the fourth quarter because, maybe Damien's a little tired. Like, a great, powerful running back is supposed to get stronger as the game goes on. And it's not that he's actually getting stronger. It's that the defense is getting weaker and he's just at the same level. So it appears that he's getting stronger. But you hear that phrase all the time, like, this running back gets stronger as the game goes on. Damien Martinez will wear down a defense. Sorry?
Do you see a drop off between Martinez and Fletcher? I don't.
I haven't seen enough of Martinez.
Yeah.
You know, I think Martinez has a little more power through the line and a little more flat ahead speed, a little more shiftiness, honestly. I think Fletcher's more of a pure power back, but, you know, they are thunder and thunder to some extent. But yeah, I do think Martinez is better. Also, I do. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Now, is it a big drop off? No, but if you go Martinez gets in rhythm, Fletcher gets in rhythm, great. Now you go to a third back. I understand maybe you bring in Chris Johnson for a little speed around the edge type thing, get the defense, that look also, because honestly, Damien and Mark are probably a little better between the tackles. And it's probably a little bit better with Chris sort of running to the edge and doing some of the quick screen game and quick hitters, things like that. But, to bring in an A.J. Allen, even Jordan Lyle as a freshman, like, I don't need to see that against Louisville. You got Mark Fletcher and Damien Martinez. You don't need a third running back. You don't see in the NFL teams going to third running backs unless there's an injury or something happens. Like, that just isn't really how these programs do it in the NFL and even at top programs. unless there's really a different skill set you need for a different type of play you want to run in a specific set. And Miami's scheme, Shannon Dawson doesn't do a lot different. He also did say something interesting. He said he's only shown 5 or 10% of certain types of plays, screen passes and things like that. I found that interesting. I think his math might be a little faulty, but maybe not.
No, they have a lot of offense. They have not.
He's run probably what? I think he's run 5 or 6 different kinds of screens that I can remember, and a bunch of quick hitters, which means he has, according to, if that's 5%, that means he's got like 20 to 30 more types of those plays. Like, I don't think so. That'd be a little confusing to the players, but maybe he does. But anyway, what I was saying is, look, the bottom line is this season's very, very encouraging. Great start, but don't get into this false sense as a coach, as Mario Cristobal, that, okay, because these backups did really well against Ball State, because this backup flashed against FAMU, don't get lulled into the sense that I can now play the third string guy to give the first and second teamers even more rest because he looks so good. Like, these guys on those teams were really slow and not very good. So when you say keep guys happy, it looks like that's what they're doing because they don't need to play their top guys in these games. But when they get to Louisville, man, I would just go with the 2 deep. Like, that's what I'm doing, period. Because those are your best players. I don't need to go to my 3s, okay, against Louisville. I just don't.
All right, a couple other things to think about this week are, the fact that through 3 games this season, the South Florida defense is averaging 3 sacks per game, and they've forced the 3rd most fumbles in the country, which right now is 5 after 3 weeks, and the 8th most turnovers in total, which is 8. This is a team that knows how to strip the ball. They know how to get takeaways, and they know how to go after the quarterback. They go after the quarterback at all costs. So this is going to be a big cerebral test, for Cam Ward, no doubt about it. He's got to make sure he gets the right checks at the line of scrimmage, gets them in the right plays, and that will be a little subplot that we will be ready for South Florida.
I'm taking the over on 350 passing yards, just so we have that clear. Are you taking the over or the under? What are you taking?
That's fair enough.
What are you taking, the over or the under?
I'll take the over too. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to be leaving guys like running loose in the secondary, trying to get to Cam Ward, I trust in Cam Ward to read that pretty quickly and get the ball to the right guy. I agree. All right, let me take a moment here and talk about GameTime.co. And Game Time is without question your go-to spot for any ticket needs for any event of any kind. And Game Time has a great new feature. It's called Game Time Picks, and that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier than it's ever been before. They filter out all the fluff. You only see the incredible deals on the best seats. You don't have to waste your time searching through hundreds of listings and trying to figure out, where this section is or where that section is. Game Time does all the work for you and presents it to you in a very seamless package called Game Time Picks. And, their deals are curated. So that makes it easier to find the best prices on the best seats. And they have super deals, last minute deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour before it starts. So Game Time even lets you click on a button and see the view from your seat. So really anything that you could think of that you need in making a ticket purchase for any event, GameTime.co has you covered with including a lowest price guarantee. If you find a cheaper seat in the same place, they will credit you 110% of the difference. And you can toggle in all-in pricing, which when you're buying tickets is a massive thing. Like, you don't have to sit there and worry about what your fees are going to be. The fees are absurd when you're buying tickets. The price you see on GameTime.co is your actual price. That is what your credit card will be charged. And let's say a couple other little neat little things that Game Time does. If an event is canceled, within 24 hours, you will be refunded. If you lose your job after you buy your tickets and you need your money back, they will give you job loss assurance and they will give you a refund. No questions asked. Kind of cool little wrinkle that Game Time has. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and sporting event tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and when you make your first purchase, use the code ON3. They will take $20 off your purchase of that ticket or tickets. Again, create an account, Redeem the code ON3 for $20 off. Terms apply. Make sure you read those terms. But you essentially can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. So what time is it? It's game time. Get all your tickets at gametime.co or by way of the Game Time app. All right. A couple other things to talk about today. Matt, back in the lab, came out and wrote a story about what we've learned about the Miami Hurricanes offense through 3 games and what remains to be discovered. You'll want to check that out. It's really interesting. Miami is blowing up almost every offensive category in the country. But Matt says that there's still more left in the cupboard. Matt, without giving your whole story away, how can Miami still improve as it moves forward here?
Well, how can it improve? I mean, statistically, it's probably not going to improve because you're playing a tougher level opponent. But what we've learned about the offense so far is that it's an extremely high-powered offense. And despite maybe some hiccups here or there in the run game, like against Florida in the first half last week, when they didn't really try to run it against a 9-man front, shout out to my buddy on the YouTube channel. They have a superb run game. The offensive line's run blocking hasn't graded out exceptionally well, but it's been good enough, and they're fine. Okay, they've already shown they can be a great pass blocking team. And really, the best news for the offense in general is this. This is obviously through 3 games, 2 for a couple of teams, but these are the rankings for Miami's remaining opponents on defense. Okay, this is total defense rankings for every single one of Miami's opponents. In other words, how many yards they've given up and where they rank nationally. USF 78th, which is terrible. Virginia Tech 61st, Cal 37th, Louisville is 7th. They've played 2 games against really bad teams. FSU is 76th. Duke and Manny Diaz is 18th. Georgia Tech is 66th. Wake Forest 126th, and Syracuse 109th. So you can see from that, like, unless you're worried about Duke, and obviously Louisville will have a good defense, even though they haven't played anybody, they do have a good defense. But Duke is a little bit of a mirage. The other teams are just like, not good. Like Cal's 37th, that's okay. And the other ones are just bad, man. So whereas Miami plays a lot of teams right now that rank better than that on defense, on offense, those teams' defenses are not good, right? Which statistically speaking, like, it's a fact statistically. Like, that is a proven fact statistically right now, okay? These opponents, for the most part, are better on offense and worse on defense, which for Cam Ward and company is great, because I think we've always said the strength of Miami's team is the offense. I mean, that's where they spent a lot of the money. They have tremendous depth and talent at receiver. At running back, Cam Ward is the #1 Heisman Trophy candidate right now. Like, he's the odds-on favorite. Cam Ward is the odds-on favorite. In 3 weeks, he's gone from, I think he was number 11 preseason to number 1 in the Heisman Trophy odds. So the tight ends, by the way, people don't talk about the tight ends enough. I think 2 of them now, or maybe even 2 of them are past the leading tight end from last year, which was Riley Williams with like 72 yards. So Elijah Arroyo has 170 something yards, and I think it's actually Elijah Lofton maybe has 76 yards or something like that. I mean, if you added up all the tight ends production so far this year, it's excellent. I think they have 3 or 4 touchdowns. I don't have it in front of me, but 250, 300 yards. So to see that group contributing when you have such a good running back core, wide receiver core, really good offensive line, starting group, that's elite offense. The personnel on this offensive team is great. So when they're going against so-so defenses or bad defenses, like, good luck outscoring Miami, which is why people think I'm so negative, but I actually have been very bullish on the offense, and I continue to be so. I think this, and I wrote columns about it, this will be the first offense, in my opinion, since 2002 to average more than 35 points a game. I don't see any way it doesn't happen. Even if something horrible happens, and Cam Ward misses a few games, like, I think Emory Williams has enough capability, and the offensive line and running backs, given the issues on these other defenses, can do fine. So,
Yeah, I don't think Shannon Dawson in a situation like that would have to have a watered down offense like he did last year. I think he would feel comfortable pretty much rolling the whole thing out there. All right. Also this morning, we have a few recruiting things for you, as always. On3 came out with a rankings update. You can, we took a look at that. You can check that out on the website. Azubi Charles took a 100-yard walk with Miami Hurricanes commit Donta Simpson, defensive lineman from Hollywood Chaminade. That was kind of cool. Make sure you check that out. Azubi does a great job on those 100-yard walk features and our inside the line features. Miami also continues to prioritize a 3-star 2026 linebacker by the name of Karan Maycock. He's from Miami Central. He made his first game day visit this past weekend at Hard Rock Stadium. We spoke to him afterwards, and we get an update for you on that. And we also have the story how Miami has joined the early race for Elite Top 50 2027 prospect. He's an offensive tackle. Joshua Sam Appel has already landed offers from more than a dozen programs, even though he's 2027. Miami has now pulled the trigger. Make sure you check out that story. Georgia and Alabama, Auburn and Tennessee are among the others that are already chasing Joshua Appel, even though he's a 2027 prospect. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us. If you're on YouTube right now, you like this show and channel, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It does help us with the algorithms at YouTube and growing our audience. If you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please head on over to our website and become a member of our community of fans. Your subscriptions literally do allow our whole team to do what we do every single day to enhance your fan experience. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thanks again, everybody, and we will see you next time.